Hi there, it's Kamala. When I'm elected to office, I'll sign an executive order on day one. That order will be for the nation to enjoy this podcast twice a week. My administration brings a pathway to love, happiness, and the world's best podcast. Without further ado, here is The Vocal Minority.
Well, thank you, Ms. Harris, right? Kamala Harris.
Wow. I know she's busy right now. That was very nice of her. She snubbed Joe Rogan, but she took a few minutes for us. So that.
Finally. I mean, it just goes to show she does the right thing, dude. I mean, I don't know if I'd go on to Joe Rogan right now either. So there you go. I said it.
We've been working hard for her over these last several months, too. So
yeah.
I appreciate that. So, yeah.
Welcome to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, working hard for you. And you can join the program anytime you like. We are glad you're along for the ride.
We are working hard at hardly working for you. Because we do this for the fun of it. We enjoy this. I know that's crazy, but we do. You can find us on the social medias. We're all over those things. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, those are definitely our favorites. But we're on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, blah. I got to sign us up for Blue Sky. Is that what it's called? Are you aware of this thing?
No. What is it?
So Jack Dorsey, when he left Twitter, he started his own Twitter. And apparently a bunch of people that are leaving Twitter are now all going directly to this Blue Sky thing. And he's been gaining 100,000 followers or new subscribers every month or whatever. So,
and it's a social media platform?
It's basically Twitter. It's his version of Twitter, what he always liked about Twitter, plus some new tweaks. And I've been hearing about it for a while. But the more Elon Musk pisses people off, apparently people are just directly going from Twitter to that one. So
who is that? Who's that you're talking about?
Jack Dorsey. He's
the other guy.
Leon Musk? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know who you were talking about. This Elon Musk guy. His name is Leon Musk. We decided that.
That's correct. Bond villain Leon Musk. So, yes. But listen, it is election week in America. But Nick and I have decided, at least for today, we're going to unplug from all of that. And we'll have one of our other discussions that are enthralling and entertaining as always. And then we'll get back to politics at some point this week. We'll see how the news cycle goes.
Thank you. No, you're welcome, dude. We just know, like, everyone needs a little break. We're kind of to overload. And, yeah, we'll bring it to you when the time is right. But we're just going to have a good time today, have a nice little discussion. Before we get into it, if I gave you this, Stephen, what do you think it would be for?
That's the beginning of Beverly Hills by Weezer.
Oh, that's nice, dude. That's an actual drum roll, but you're right, dude. That's going to stick in my head now. You're right. Yes. But I give you a drum roll because this podcast, The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, we hit a new pinnacle, okay?
Yes. What are we talking about, Reddit?
Yeah, we're talking about Reddit, dude. Why are you downplaying that? Nothing to downplay.
No, it's worthy of upplaying for sure, and hopefully more to come this week. But yeah, so I don't know. On Reddit, we've been posting all of our video clips, but we've also been making our own basically political memes, which I think is very nice of us. I've had a lot of people say, like, how come you put your name on these? Like, because we fucking made them. Who do you think makes memes and stuff out there? Everyone on the internet is a taker. Someone has to be a maker.
That's right, dude. And we put our name on it, just like you said, because we want you to know where it came from, whether you love it or hate it. It looks like most people are loving the memes that are produced here. Yes. And why wouldn't we put our name on it, dude? We want people to listen to the podcast.
Exactly. So some are legitimate memes, pictures with a brief little blurb. But the other thing, too, I mean, we've been talking about this on the show that, you know, as political season has exploded, I've been commenting on post after post after post of ours, defending or joining in with the people, you know, agreeing with us and whatnot. And it's been wearing on my mental health to some extent. But A, I'm getting better at balancing that. And B, I discovered on Reddit, like, there are 2 pages, one that we just discovered, that's what it's for. You just post clever or witty comebacks or burns or whatever it is. And, yeah, we've been doing that, and it's going well for us.
Dude, when you're looking at social media, when you see a video like on TikTok or whatever, there's certain videos that you go straight to the comments, maybe even while the video is playing, because you want to see what other people think about it. And when there's a great comment on there, you're just like, damn, dude, they took them down, you know. And this is a series of that on this page where you can just see like one slam after the other or one great point that refutes what the guy was just saying, it is a wonderful thing, and it's been pretty popular, like you were saying, dude.
And before we get into the grand announcement for it all, I will just say, speaking of people are just saying, like, how can we put your name on it? Like, I put it very small at the bottom, but I watermark it. It's ours. As it gets shared, it's promotion for the show, and that's the kind of commentary you can expect from the show. So it all makes sense. But I've had a few people say, like, it's really lame that you post your own comebacks and burns. And I'm like, I think it's lame that you people find other people's witty comebacks and you post their words. Like, do none of you have your own witty replies that you could post? Why is it weird for us to post our own commentary?
Yeah, do something original, like you said, dude. I mean, come on, get on there and actually do something rather than just sharing something funny. Try and make something funny.
I mean, maybe it's because what we do for a living, but we are constantly critiquing our own material. We're listening to the podcast. We put thought into this stuff. And over the years, we've gotten pretty good at knowing what's funny, what's not funny, what's clever, what's not. So, yeah, when we post some of these responses, some of them I immediately go, well, that's pretty clever, burn. So I screenshot it and then we post it. And
right.
I don't know. Again, some people are takers. Some people are makers. We're making this stuff. And it's all on brand for what we're doing here on the show, I do believe.
Yeah. And like I said, there's a lot of people that are agreeing with it more than disagreeing with it. So I'm happy with it.
Exactly. So here's the deal. I went over our Reddit page last night and was adding up. First of all, our videos, we're getting over 200,000 views a month right now. And that's phenomenal. Because, what we're doing, liberal political commentary, is not a huge niche out there. But I'm happy to say, like, we've been waiting to hit the six figures on monthly views. And last month, we got up to 100,000, which we were ecstatic about. But this last 30 days, over 200,000.
Yeah, which is awesome, dude. And, if there's influencers or podcasts out there that are like, oh, that's nothing, dude. Well, it is for us. I mean, we have to think about where we started, where we are now. So to see the progress coming, it's awesome.
Well, exactly. I mean, you and I have been on the radio for nearly 30 years, but the podcasting game is new to us. And it's all progress. I mean, we're trying to grow this thing. So, but these memes and that commentary and all that. So I went over last night and I added up the last 30 days. I cut it off at 30 days because we've been doing it longer. But I just thought in the last 30 days, how many views have these memes gotten? And I was not expecting the answer. But in the last 30 days, prior to today on recording day, we had 1.1 million views of the memes.
Which is, when you told me that, dude, I was like, 1.1 million?
Right.
Like, that's Dr. Evil shit.
Yeah, and it was like, do you mean 100,000? It can't be a million.
Right.
Decimal off. So we got over 1 million freaking views on our political commentary memes in the last month.
Yeah.
But then... I don't know what the hell happened today, but I posted a new one this morning, and it was tied to the election, and it was, a burn on Christians voting for Trump. I said something like, someone was like, Christians for Trump, we're going to save America this week. And I said something like, I'm glad you like rapists that cheat on their wives with porn stars and like to watch underage girls get undressed. Jesus must be proud of you.
Yeah, and that is a fact, dude. I mean, and people are digging it. How many?
Well, as of recording time, that meme alone, keep in mind, all of our memes the last 30 days, 1.1 million views. Just this meme, as of recording time, 2.2 million views.
Dude.
Congratulations.
It's amazing.
Something like 37,000 likes. There's like thousands of comments going. I mean, so we went from last night celebrating 1.1 million views. So as of today, 24 hours later, we're up to 3.3 million fucking views in a month.
Yeah, which is incredible for this program and the time we've been doing it. And it says a lot about you guys listening. So we appreciate the support on the show.
Thank you.
And thank you for engaging with all our social media. It's nice of y'all. And here we go.
And I assume those 3 million views will get us at least one new follower. So welcome, Gary, or wherever you are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that average, though, dude, with 3 million over the last 30 days to see how many followers or, new subscribers to the podcast we pick up.
Yes, it will be. And I do find it funny that, people try to zing us or burn us, and we just flip it right around and get millions of views out of it. So, Thanks. Thanks for commenting on our page, you troll.
Check out the social media. You can call this program 844-48-VOCAL, the vocal minority with Nick and Steve. So, Steve, as we try to entertain the audience a little bit today in a non-political way, we'll dive out of that pool and into a new. We talked a lot about where people of our vintage are in this country these days. You know, they always talk about, people over 40, people over 50, they change, they get grumpy, they do this. I came across a list of a dying breed, and this is talking about life skills specifically. Life skills are important, right?
I think so, for the most part, yes.
Life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. So this is in our favor as the vintage of 40. Like, we still possess these things. We're going strong.
Nice. I think it actually ties into what we were just talking about. I've had this life skill of arguing with people on the internet for years, and now we found a good use for it. So let's talk about some other life skills that I'm curious. Do we have them, and are they still necessary? Like, are some of these life skills antiquated now, or things that we actually do?
We'll see. And I guess, we can be the judge, but listeners, listen along, make up your own mind. And I know when I listen to our podcast or even other people's podcasts that I enjoy, I'm always talking along, answering the questions, yelling at the radio. So hopefully you're engaged.
I got to find another podcast I enjoy, because I haven't found one yet.
I'll send you a couple, dude, that I think you'll enjoy. What, have you listened to other podcasts and not enjoyed them specifically?
Yes. There's this thing in the podcasting world that drives me absolutely nuts, and I cannot listen to it. And yeah, it's because of our broadcasting backgrounds, but there is what I call the NPR style of podcast, where somebody just talks in a flat monotone for the entire show. It's almost as if they don't want to wake their audience up, so we're just going to speak in a monotone for 45 fucking minutes. Like, I remember in broadcasting school, that was a very specific thing. Like, don't speak in monotone, inflections, up, down, slow down, speed up. Like, but there's this whole world of podcast where we're just going to talk in a monotone for an hour. I hate it.
It's interesting because I completely understand what you're saying. God, I am blanking on the name right now, but there was a podcast that this lady did that just took the internet by storm, and it was about a guy. Say it again.
Serial, the
Serial. That's right. She started that trend, dude, and people loved it, fell in love with it, and I don't know if they could just relate to it more in some way, but ever since then, you have all these copycats of people doing that, and I think you either love it or hate it.
Yeah, I hate it. So if you can find me somebody that's got a little emotion, a little personality, I would like to listen to their show.
All right. I'll send you some stuff. We're going to go over a list of life skills that people under the age of 40 no longer possess. And the first one here is basic car maintenance. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting one because the cars we drove, dude, needed a lot of maintenance. Like, cars have gotten better in a sense, and I don't think a ton of maintenance has been as important. But if we didn't do the maintenance on our cars, like, we didn't have a car,
Yeah, this is a tricky one because I'm funny. I ride dirt bikes and I do all the maintenance on my own dirt bikes, unless it's a really involved thing. Like, I do everything. But I do not touch my car. I never have touched my car. There's nothing in the world of a car that I don't think makes more sense to take to a shop, including an oil change. I remember I had a buddy in Michigan that changed his own oil, and I was in the garage with him one day doing it. I mean, it took for frickin' ever. It made mess everywhere. Like, I just take it to the Quick Lube for $25. You'll be done in 5 minutes.
Yeah, where's it $25, dude? 1992? Well, where are you paying $25? Dude, I pay every time I go get my oil changed. I pay $120.
No,
I do.
With dealership or something?
No, I go to Jiffy Lube or Express Care, whatever it is.
Wow. Well, apparently oil prices have gone way up. See, I'm somewhat spoiled too, because in my family circle, there's the local automotive shop that for the last 17 years I've been taking my car there. So they do all that shit, including oil changes and everything. So maybe I'm a little out of touch, but it can't be for everyone. Jiffy Lube's charging $120. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, that's a truck, so I got a little more oil than your average, like 4-cylinder or something like that. So it may be a little less, but it's at least, $60-$70. I'm getting synthetic oil, and I think most people do that at this point. Yeah. So yeah, but I don't change my own oil. I did as a younger person, but I used to work on cars all the time too, and I do a little working on cars now, but as far as maintenance goes, it's rotating the tires, it's changing the oil, all of the fluids, that kind of stuff. I pay for it.
Yeah, not to mention cars nowadays are actually really difficult to work on yourself. They become so computerized, and a lot of manufacturers use specific tools just to screw with you. So you got to take it to your Toyota dealership because they got the Toyota wrenches to actually take shit apart with. Like, they've created a bit of a scam going on there.
Yeah, 100%.
My 15-year-old son, he knows how to change brake pads on a car. That family auto shop I was talking about. He's worked there a couple of summers. So I don't know how to change brake pads on a car, but my 15-year-old does, and he's certainly under the age of 40.
It's good that he does. I mean, that's the one thing that I change the brakes on all our cars. Just because it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself. And it's a fairly easy job, but you have to know how to do it. Good on him.
Yeah, interesting.
These are things that people under the age of 40, life skills they no longer possess. And cooking from scratch is on the list. Did you ever cook from scratch?
I don't even know what that means anymore. Like, do I have to literally make everything from scratch? Like, if I'm going to make spaghetti, I can't buy pre-made pasta. I got to make it from scratch.
Yeah, and you'll make your sauce. I mean, using real tomatoes and spices, If you make a pie, you don't buy the pie crust. You make the pie crust. You cook from scratch, dude.
I mean, let me go out to the barn and churn some butter and really be authentic about this. If we're going to make stuff from scratch, stuff that even restaurants don't even do nowadays. Like, how many restaurants are making their own pasta, their own butter, their own sauces?
Nice restaurants, because it's labor intensive. But there are certain things I'll cook from scratch. There's certain things I know my mother cooks from scratch. She's almost, she's 78 years old, so that's another generation. But cooking from scratch is not necessarily, unless you enjoy cooking, something we have time for anymore, right?
Right. That's the problem I have found as I've gotten into my single life post-divorce and have had to fend for myself. There's a constant debate of, okay, if I'm going to have chicken parmesan for dinner, if I buy it myself, it's $20-$30 worth of ingredients, but then I'm going to spend an hour cooking and an hour cleaning up afterwards. So the $20-$30 plus 2 hours of my life, is it not cheaper just to go to fucking Olive Garden and spend $19.99, let them make it for you?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Some people somebody asked me this yesterday. I was doing a project, and this dude asked me, like, who does most of the cooking over at your house? I was like, me. But, Rachel can cook, and she will, but I do the majority. He's like, do you enjoy it? I was like, not really. No. I mean, I don't. I cook out of necessity. Every once in a while, if I'm making something new, I may put a little pride into it and think, oh, this is going to be so good, dude. I hope this is a great recipe. But for the most part, I cook just to eat. I want to do it quick. Right. I want it to be good, so...
This is a recurring argument in my house because my kids caught me. I told them these were homemade mashed potatoes. So they were mainly pre-made, but then I added some butter, I added some milk, some extra seasoning, and I put it on a stove and I cook it. I prepared food by means of applying heat. That's the textbook definition of cooking. Does it actually matter if I pick the potatoes, smash them myself, or why can't you buy the separate ingredients, essentially already made and make them into something else? And that's cooking.
Dude, I don't know if I agree with you on everything, but potatoes specifically, my mother, who is a purist when it comes to cooking from scratch, I'm not saying she does it every night, but she makes a lot of stuff from scratch. Our holiday potatoes, our mashed potatoes, Costco sells such good pre-ready mashed potatoes.
Nice.
She does the same thing, dude. She'll buy them, she'll add a few things to them, and they're great. Why wouldn't you do it?
That's cooking. So kudos to your mom and me. So.
Yes, you guys are both champions. This is an interesting one because I think that this has come back in as a life skill in a lot of ways in the past decade. These are life skills that people under the age of 40 no longer possess. And this one is sewing and mending clothes. Mm-hmm. And really think about it. You see a lot of people getting back into not only the fashion industry, but people want to be able to fix their clothes and they want to be able to make cool shit as an art, you know?
Yeah. That's another one of those. Like when I was a kid, I felt like every home I went into had a sewing machine. I haven't seen a sewing machine. Same thing. They always used to have pianos in their houses. No one has pianos or sewing machines anymore. And again, like with clothing being so widely accessible and mainly affordable, and most of us buy cheap T-shirts and flannels, and like, you got to really love a piece of clothing if you want to salvage it for another 5 years and sew something back together.
I disagree, dude. I have my mom mends for me. She's a great mender, and I drop stuff over at her house probably, I don't know, once every 3 months and ask her, hey, can you stitch this up for me?
But is it something you like really like though, right? Because if it was just a regular old flannel or something, would you keep it going like that?
Yeah, probably. I do like the stuff that I'm giving her. Like, I don't want it to be done yet, you know, so. But I've taken things that I really like to a seamstress and had them dropped off, like at a dry cleaner. They'll patch stuff up for you or whatever. But what a great thing to be able to do is she's like, I got to teach you how to do this. This is not hard. I'm like, I like that you do it. You know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I don't need sew. I've got you, Mom. I did take home ec 2 years in middle school, and I did learn some cooking, and I learned some sewing. I learned how to use a sewing machine. Problem is, I haven't used it since 7th grade. So if you put me in front of a sewing machine, have I technically been trained on it? Yes. But at age 48, would I tell you I can sew?
Right.
Could you?
No, I'm the same as you. I took 2 years of it. I couldn't. I mean, I'm sure I could figure something out, but I'm not making a pattern and making you a shirt or something. I could make a pillowcase. I think that's what I made in 7th grade.
Was there a generation where people really were making their own clothes, or people always just been doing it to patch stuff up?
No, Rachel's grandma made all their own clothes. I know my mom's parents, they made all their clothes. All their kids, not all of them, but a majority of them. And I think it was people from the Depression, really, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank God for sweatshops, so we don't have to do any of that crap.
Yeah. All right. Sewing and mending clothes. We're going to call it out, but it is a tidge necessary.
Well, it may be a tidge necessary, but the whole under 40 thing I don't agree with, because you and I are over 40 and we can't sew. So
yeah. At least we've used a sewing machine. These are supposed to be life skills that people under the age of 40 no longer possess. I agree with this one on one level. It's called reading a map.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those antiquated things though, right?
Well, I've needed to read a map. I've been, traveling across the country and in areas without any cell service or anything,
Yeah. How do you not know how to read a map, by the way? What does that even mean? What do you not understand about how to read a map?
Many young people struggle to find their way if they lose their phone and there's no signal. Reading a map educates a person to navigate through direction, distance, landmarks. It's also a skill that can be very useful, especially when hiking and traveling in isolated regions. You remember delivering pizzas with the Thomas Guide, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't have an actual Thomas Guide, but it's true. At my pizza place, we had a giant map on the wall of our delivery area. So I would, okay, it's there. But I don't get the concept of you can't understand that the road is going north or south, or you can't connect the dots between your two locations. It's also, how rare is it that you're on some road trip where you don't have a signal and you got a paper map in your glove box because it's 1978?
I keep a paper map with me, dude. When I travel, I definitely keep a paper map. And people that I know that hike a lot always have a paper map they can pull out on a trail, see where they're at or whatever.
See, I take screenshots if I know I'm going to be in some area where it doesn't work.
What if your phone dies? What if, your phone gets wet? What if you fall and crush your phone? You're going to be screwed.
Survival of the fittest. I guess I'm screwed then. I would be curious to look it up. There was a map store in Seattle that even when I lived there in 2004 or whatever, I was like, how long is that map store going to keep existing?
It's in Pioneer Square, and it's still there, dude. But there are fans of topography that find a map as a piece of art. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fans of topography.
Rachel is a huge fan of topography, dude.
All right. I mean, hey, teach their own, I guess.
Dude, whenever we travel somewhere, she will study that map for a good couple of weeks before we go. So it's all memorized right up in her brain.
Well,
and then she knows where we are.
She's worried you're going to leave her out in the woods or something.
Oh, no.
So, survival skills.
All right. Well, reading a map made the list. These are life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. And we've talked about this on the podcast before. Writing letters by hand.
Yeah. It's not necessary unless you're a serial killer, kidnap victim or something. Writing a letter by hand, that is just so labor intensive. And then you're going to mail it, make somebody deliver it across the town or the country. Why would you do that? I don't get it.
Well, we talked about the fact that you like to get a birthday card this way, right? From your mom or whatever.
I guess sign it. I mean, that's not a handwritten note.
Okay, here's a scenario for you. If you had, let's say your lover was in the Peace Corps and was going to be in, I don't know, Africa for a couple of 3 months, okay? And the only option was to write letters. Would you write it on a computer, print it out and send it, or would you handwrite it?
Well, if I want the person to be able to read it, I would probably type it and print it out because my handwriting has fallen off a cliff because I don't use it anymore.
You can do it if you sit and concentrate on it. I know you can because mine's the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when I write a little like, I hope it's a great year, happy birthday. Like I got to think about that because you can't undo things. You can't backspace deletes. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, kids get so much grief for not being able to do cursive anymore, but why would they need to do cursive? It's like,
beautiful.
I don't want to do SOS, like Morse code or something. Like, why would I know why? Like,
because it's an art form, dude.
Well, during World War I, everyone knew how to read Morse code. These kids nowadays just don't know how. Like, listen, if I'm fighting in World War II, then yes, I'll write letters from the front lines. And
okay. All right.
Otherwise, no. Let it go, people.
All right. These are all life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. We've also talked about this on the podcast before. Are you still balancing a checkbook?
No. I don't.
Did you ever balance a checkbook?
Yeah, in the 90s, I think. But I haven't written a check. There's been a couple of times for the business where I have to write a paper check for some reason. I have to go to the bank and ask for, can you print off a page of like 3 checks so I can write it? And then, by the way, it's like, how do you do this thing again? Because then you got to write out the numbers in word form. It's just, what a stupid, antiquated notion. So no, I don't balance a checkbook. I don't have checks, and I wouldn't trust myself to balance it. Do this crap online, people. Use a computer. It's modern era. It's beautiful.
Banking has become so much easier, and you can get so much more information. I write maybe a check once every 3 months. And so I don't balance a check, but I don't even have a ledger. I just have a few checks that I can write once in a while.
I would honestly wonder if I put a check in front of my kids and said, if you fill it out correctly, whatever amount you put, I'll give it to you. I guarantee they would not have any idea how to fill out a check.
Neo could do it.
I mean, she's a history buff, so maybe she's learned about it in history class.
She worked at a restaurant, so she's seen checks. She knows what they look like at least, where maybe your younger Cross has not seen a check. I don't know.
Yeah. I do wonder. I did one of those checks a while ago where I forgot to something. I didn't sign it or something because it's like so many things. You got the dates, you got the name, you got to spell out the letters, you got a memo. Oh, you got to sign it too. Jesus.
You don't. Did you put funny memos in your check? So I guess you're doing them for work, but I always put a funny memo in there, whether they're for business or for whatever, for butt work, stuff like that. Like, for butt work, just no lube butt work.
Very nice. Yeah. Okay.
Here's some life skills that people under the age of 40 apparently no longer do. Start Starting a fire without matches. What are you talking about?
Yeah, again, if you're 140, maybe this is a skill you learned as a child, but I understand the principle of how to do it, but I've never needed to do that. I mean, that's a life or death situation that you would be in, where you would need to start a fire without matches. Otherwise, you're a terrible camper.
So you didn't bring bring a lighter, dude. I mean, bring some matches, bring a lighter, bring a flint. I don't know. I don't see. Well, I guess that would be without matches. So I was picturing rubbing sticks together,
Yeah, I mean, I guess the flint would be the elevated form of doing it without matches, but I don't know. You don't have matches or a lighter, but you got a flint stick on you? I mean,
right? Yeah.
That.
Yeah, that seems generations ago antiquated. So
absolutely. Now, I do wonder if I ask my kids, do you understand the principle, of rubbing sticks together, or the notch thing is actually the smarter way, apparently, so you don't kill your hands. But would they even understand the concept? Whether they could do it or not is a whole other thing.
Next time you talk to Cross, you should ask him, if you were stuck in the woods and you had to make a fire, you don't have anything on you, how would you do it? And see if he just knows how I rub wood together.
I think he would say, I would hold up my phone and hope we get struck by lightning.
Right, yeah. I'd see if there was an app for it.
Right, exactly.
Life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. Steve just mentioned this one. It's called handwriting in cursive.
Yeah. It's a completely antiquated, useless skill. And by the way, if you're going to use cursive, you better do it to somebody your age or older. Because if I sent my kids a cursive letter, I don't know that they would be able to read it.
See, I always felt like cursive, and maybe it's because I know how to read it. It's not that different. Everything looks a little bit like the actual letter.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent. But all right, so if you've handwritten any letters of late, did you do it in cursive or in regular English or whatever it is?
It's funny you ask, because whenever I write anybody something, it's always in a mix of through the word, part of it's cursive, part of it's just sort of regular. And I don't know why I write like that, but I always do it that way.
That's hilarious. I mean, any of the handwritten stuff I've done in the last umpteen years is not in cursive. My signature is the only thing I do in cursive, and that thing's become a jumbled mess of just I guess that's an S in there somewhere. It's just
right.
A weird thing that it's like an autograph. It's my thing, but it's not proper cursive, I don't think.
Right. It's just a scribble.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, handwritten anything is pretty antiquated, but handwriting in cursive... to your great grandma, maybe. Otherwise,
the next one on the list of things that people under 40 no longer do is, I feel like this has come back a little bit too, gardening and growing your own food.
I would say it definitely has come back. That's more exclusively a, hippie Portland sort of composting, backyard gardening, farm to fork sort of type thing going on out there.
100%. This thing says that, a lot of people will find this and put it in their environment, not only for some people do it for survival, if we can't get food anymore, I know how to grow mine. But most people are doing it because it's a restful pastime. I want to relax. I want to connect to Earth a little bit. I'm going to go produce something.
Well, and you know where it's coming from. There's not been Monsanto chemicals sprayed all over it. But, it's super common. And I know a lot of people in rental houses that have been growing stuff that have caused problems. So they clearly have a green thumb if they're inside a house,
You're right. That does constitute gardening, I would say.
And there's some advanced setups out there, by the way, with lighting and hydroponics and ventilation. These people know gardening very well, actually.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Let's see here. These are 20 life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess using basic tools like hammers, screwdrivers, wrenches. All the household tools that are not so commonly known to young people are these we just mentioned: hammers, screwdrivers, wrenches, stuff like that.
Well, that's interesting. To some extent, I don't know how you get away in life without being able to hammer a nail or turn a screw. What, you just throw everything away? You don't ever fix anything? You don't ever work on anything? That's odd. My kids know how to use tools.
If you said to Crosby, hand me that pipe wrench, he would know what to hand you.
I don't own a pipe wrench, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, again, though, he might be slightly out of the average because he did spend a few summers working in a mechanic shop.
Yeah.
But he and I do dirt bike work together. And yeah, I mean, he's hip on all the tools. And even Neo, my firstborn, there's been things we've built around the house, a bookshelf or something where they have the basic skills. So I don't know. Is that a thing? Under 40s just don't even know how to turn a screwdriver?
Yeah, I think it is I don't know for everybody. Obviously, it's not for everybody. But, I mean, I think that young people, it's a little foreign to them. And I think that's a shame. I mean, like you said, I think everybody should kind of know how to do a little bit. I think that's why people are hollering about the trades, when everyone had to go to college and we lost a lot of the trades. I think that was a generation of people that weren't using tools, dude, that didn't know how to make stuff with their hands.
Yeah. Well, some dating advice for any dudes out there or women. Dating advice for anyone. People really like it when you fix stuff for them. It goes a very long ways, You hang a towel rack for a woman and you'll get blown for the next month.
You will?
Oh, yeah.
A towel rack is worth 40 or 30 blowies?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends what currency you're working in, but yeah, I mean.
I'm going to start putting towel racks up in every room, dude, in my house. Just see if you're right.
Yes. I mean, whether it is your mom or your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, seriously, I have found that you fix stuff for people and they really appreciate it. And they act like you just invented fire or something.
Yeah. No, people do. When you don't know how to do something, when you're not capable of it, and you can fix something for someone, people do appreciate it a whole bunch. These are all life skills that people apparently under the age of 40 no longer possess. Making small talk with strangers. That couldn't be more true, dude.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's true. Not that me at age 48 is good at it. I can do it when I have to, but I don't want to. Whereas you, standing in line at Starbucks, you make 10 friends.
Yeah, I can make small talk. And usually it's weird small talk, but I don't have a problem talking to people. But you make good small talk. You just don't enjoy doing it.
Right. Yes.
So I don't think kids, but I don't think if I asked my niece, my youngest niece, who is 12 years old now, go make small talk with that person over in the coffee line, she would look at me like I had 8 heads, dude. She would have no idea what to say or do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's interesting because with my kids, Neo in particular, they hate using the telephone. They don't want to talk to someone. Like the idea, I remember I told Neil once, just, call Domino's and order pizza. She was like, where do I even start? How would I even do that? Very phobic of it. However, in social settings, and this is in part because I think we instilled this in our kids, but our kids are actually pretty good at making small talk with adults. They know how to engage in a conversation, and they're doing it consciously. It doesn't come naturally, but both of them are pretty good at being able to contribute to a conversation.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a good life skill to have because, I don't know, sitting there in silence with someone and just not being able to say anything, I think comes off as kind of creepy. Acknowledge the other person, say hello at least,
Yeah, and that's another dating skill, by the way. On those first few dates, you got to find some way to have conversation and chit-chat. So I did tell my son that recently. He's starting to get interested in the opposite sex.
Oh, he is a little pune. Yes. He's talking to you about just like a girl he might like or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's on the radar. I will tell you here. He told me a couple of weeks ago about it, and I gave him just some generic advice on chit chat and just being able to keep the conversation flowing and whatnot. But he did come to me the other day, and he was like, I got friend zoned. Oops.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
You're learning early, though. This is what can happen out there. So, but no, I was impressed that he was even trying. But yeah, chit chat, whether it's dating or coworkers or whatever. I don't know that you need to be chatting up the person in the grocery line next to you, but chatting in general it's a good skill. Yeah.
If you're in an elevator and it's just you and one other person, do you acknowledge it all with a hi or good morning?
It's hot or cold. It's one way or the other. I either say nothing, you do not exist, or I will start chatting people up. And I usually do it almost to screw with them. I just find it funny. Hey, what floor are you going to? What's going on up there? Where are you from, man? So sometimes, but no, it's about 50-50.
It's just that silence. I guess we've talked about before. I'm not a huge fan of it, and especially if there's somebody else in the room that I don't know. Like, I gotta say something.
You know what I hate, and this happens a lot because I ride the elevators at the casinos around here a lot because we have radio equipment up on the top floor. So it's like 20 floors up. So I have this chance of people coming and going. It drives me nuts when someone gets in and you're silent the entire time. And then as soon as they're getting off, they're like, hey, have a good day. I'm like, well, why are you talking now? Why do we just sit here in silence for 20 floors?
That's funny. As of late, when I'm getting off the elevator, just right before, when the door opens and I'm getting ready to walk out the doors, I've been pushing all the buttons and then walking out.
See, now that's fun and funny.
Hey, jerk.
Oh, now you're talking, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you can talk. Here's another life skill that people under the age of 40 no longer possess, and this one's called reading an analog clock.
I struggle with it. I don't like reading analog clocks. I know how, especially in the world of radio. And my kids learned it in school, but it's one of those skills that it's just going to die. I don't care if they taught it to them in 6th grade. Like, how many analog clocks are really left in this world?
There's millions of wrists of watches that are analog, and they're in all official buildings, aren't they? Like courthouses and schools.
Yeah. Next to a list of like government regulations and other things no one looks at or reads. Because why would you look at a clock? You don't have a phone on you. You don't have an Apple Watch that's digital. Like, this thing has an analog option. I don't want that. I just need to glance at it and see the time. I don't want to sit here and do hieroglyphics and math and plot it out.
I just have a regular analog watch.
Because you're an old man, and that's classy. Like, kids don't want that. That's not cool.
They do, dude. Watch collecting is at an all-time high.
Yes, collecting, exactly.
And when you wear your collection,
they're antiques. That's why people are collecting them.
This is 1 year old, dude. Not all antiques. They still make analog watches. You don't think that they do?
For people over the age of 40. Like, I'm just telling you, like, kids don't want or need an analog watch, and I would tend to agree.
Well, you suck.
If you buy me dinner first.
Or if I put up a towel rack. These are life skills under the age of 40. If you're under the age of 40, you no longer possess. Memorizing phone numbers. I will say that you used to have no choice but to memorize phone numbers. Now, I don't have your phone number memorized.
Hell no. I mean, here's the thing. I've often thought, like, what would happen if I got arrested or something and I need my one phone call? Do you know that that's Hollywood garbage, this one phone call thing?
What, like you could call a few people?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen this now on multiple of my body cam cop videos. They're like, I want my one call. They're like, that's in the movies. You can call as many people as you want. I don't know the phone numbers. So like, we'll give you your cell phone. You can get the phone number. No one could make a call nowadays if you didn't have your cell phone, even if you're getting the number off of it. But it is crazy. 475-1089. That was my phone number growing up. 475-9690. That was my best friend Corey. Like, I still have some of these numbers memorized, but I assume you're in the 206 area code, but that's just a guess. I couldn't name any of your numbers. I don't know my kids' numbers. I don't know my girlfriend's phone number. I don't know anybody's number. Barely I know my own cell phone number so I can give it to someone.
See, I know Rachel's cell phone number, and that's probably because I've had to fill it out on forms so much, in the years we've been married. And I know my mother's, and I don't know why. Maybe it's for the same reasons, filling out forms or something, but that's as deep as it gets.
Has your mom had the same number, though, for years?
6-7 years, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, not since childhood or whatever.
No, but I remember that phone number, 425-432-3228. And I remember my best friend's phone number, stuff like that. That's locked. It'll never leave. But I don't think about numbers now.
It is an issue. I mean, I will tell you, the concept of memorizing all these numbers is silly. I mean, maybe pick one or two, but even that, like, you're not going to use it often. The reason I remember those numbers is I remember dialing them. It was repetition, so it gets in your brain over and over. But a couple months ago, Kennedy lost her cell phone, and we were just screwed. I had no way of getting hold of her. You know, she didn't have a phone. She didn't have my number to take one of her kids' phones and call me. Or I didn't know her number. I didn't know any of her kids' numbers to be able to call them and say, hey, where's your mom? Like, you really can't screw yourself. So I would recommend writing down some core numbers somewhere, sticking it in the desk drawer, and then, you know, if you ever need it, great.
Did you write her number down?
I'm supposed to, but
You should do it, dude.
I should, yes.
See if she has yours. These are life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. And this says mental math skills. Calculators and apps have made mental math redundant. But being able to do simple calculations in your head is handy when you need to divide up a bill or take advantage of a discount, blah, blah, blah. So people aren't doing this anymore. Incapable.
Yeah. I mean, again, everyone now has a phone, a camera, and a calculator in their pockets. So I can understand why you don't need to. And by the way, like, I remember in 6th grade, we got into a math class and our teacher gave us all calculators. And I was like, I thought this was cheating using a calculator, because that's what they taught you throughout elementary school.
Yeah.
It was like, no. Real people in the real world, we use calculators. We don't sit here and write all this stuff out. So we're going to teach you how to use a calculator and to understand what you're doing. You know, you're not just blindly putting in numbers. You understand the result. But to think that you can do big equations, that's silly.
No, completely. I mean, I think it's probably a good idea for you to be able to know how to split up a tip or a bill or tip 20%, whatever you're going to do. That should be, you should probably know that. But for the majority, yeah, I'm using my phone. I'm using a calculator. What's the trip with, you have kids that have been in school and are in school. What's this big trip with scientific calculators that I knew existed always, but I don't know how to use the scientific calculator?
Like the graphing calculators, is that what you mean?
Yeah, like these kids need to have them for school now, and they're like $150. I just remember my niece having to get a scientific calculator.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain advanced math classes that do that stuff. You know, I remember graphing calculators and stuff, but you know, again, we don't need anything that advanced. You have to have some sort of calculator. You can't do that off the top of your head.
Yeah, and if you can, they usually call you autistic or something, you know.
Even if you could somehow get the number, you're still going to want to check it. Like, how would you have that much confidence that if you're paying a bill or doing your taxes or whatever, like, don't be dumb. Get a freaking calculator out. Now, there have been times where I just did it on the show a week ago where I was actually impressed. We used the number 12,000, and I said that of 80,000 people, that's like 5% of the people or something.
Yeah.
And when I looked it up, like 5% of 80,000 is 20,000 or no. I see I'm not already screwing. But whatever the number was I threw out there, I fact checked it later, and I was close enough for conversational purposes to say, like, 10% of that number is roughly this. Like, some of that stuff it can, I guess, come in handy for. Or, if you're splitting a bill 3 ways, like, sure, but I don't know. Get a calculator. Check it out.
My brother is 12 years older than us, okay? And I know that on this last road trip, there was all kinds of this shit that he threw out. He's got these little ticks and trips, in his mind, he's got these tricks that he wants to be able to show you. Like, hey, when you're trying to get a percentage, you just do this, this, and this. Like, it's easy. Like, he takes pride in being able to just do quick math in his head. But I'm like, just pull your phone out, dude.
Right. I appreciate his pride, but there's also has to be some arrogance there that you assume you did it all correctly in your head, and that's how you're going to tip the waitress or split the bill or whatever it is. So
yeah, we're going over a list of life skills that people under the age of 40 no longer possess. This is called writing a resume from scratch. Well, let me tell you that I used to have to write resumes from scratch, and it was a pain in my ass. We finally got Clippy. You know the little paper clip up at Microsoft Word, and it would be like, it looks like you're trying to write a resume, and it would help you out with stuff. And now we have AI, so why would you ever write your resume from scratch if you didn't have to?
I'm not entirely sure what that means. What do you mean writing it from scratch?
Like template. If you had a template, or like this one says, templates and AI resources have now made resumes easier to put together. But resume writing from scratch can make people unique and original. You used to have to write all the blurbs yourself.
Yeah.
And now there are, there's templates of, hey, this is what you could put in for being creative. This is a better way to say it. Or, you know what I mean?
Listen, you should not be writing a resume from scratch because, like it is said, there are computer programs that at least give you a template. So if you can't follow a basic template on a computer program, I don't know what job you're applying for that you think you're going to get.
Well, this ends with saying that when people can write and format a resume on their own, it'll stand out to prospective employers. I mean, maybe if you're trying to get a job at the coal mine, but I'm telling you that format a resume, I guess I don't even know how to appropriately. What does that mean?
Well, I don't know if there's an appropriate quote unquote answer, but I mean, I think everyone should have at least seen enough resumes. Do you understand the basics? Your contact info in the top corner, and then you just go chronologically, reverse current job. Plumber, 1999 to 2001. You do a little description, then you go down to the next job. Like, if you're just freestyling it, making a rap out of it, or a poem, or writing a paragraph of a resume, you're going to look like a moron, and you're not getting that job. So, yeah, either follow the computer resume or template, or at least have enough knowledge like you break down each job and you say when you did and what you did. Like, it's really not that complicated.
Put a nice cover letter on it, and make sure you got your references down there. You'll be all right. You'll get the job.
Now, I haven't written a resume in like 20 years, but I assume it's still the same basic template and format.
I think when you hired me, you made me turn in a resume, dude.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure you were qualified. I don't know what you wrote there.
These are all life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. Hand washing clothes. Do your kids know how to hand wash their own clothes?
Yeah, we go out, we churn butter, and then we hand wash our clothes. We sew the patches onto them, and then we handwrite letters in cursive to Grandma and send them off.
I didn't ever
washing clothes.
I've maybe hand washed something that's delicate that's not supposed to go in the washer once or twice, But yeah, we're not. You have a washing machine. Like, why would you hand wash clothes?
That's very bizarre. Even people that don't have washing machines go to a laundromat. I mean, what, you're out by the river, like washing your clothes on a rock? I mean, what the hell?
This says hand washing used to be more common, especially for delicate clothes. Learning to wash clothes yourself will make clothes last longer and can come in handy if you don't have access to a washing machine. I don't know. I like I said, for the delicate thing, I get it. If, Rachel has a sweater that's really delicate, I might wash it by hand, but I'm not washing loads of laundry by hand. Come on.
That's absurd. I can't imagine how many hours of your life that would take up. And even the delicate sweater, like, what is that? You're just putting it in the sink and a little detergent and then hand dry?
You put it in you put it in the sink with a little detergent and kind of agitate it with your hands, and you clean it the best you can with just your hands. So
that's insanity. The closest I come to that, I discussed recently, like if I get a new shirt that's red or blue, like I'll soak it in the sink and wring it out to get some of that dye off for the first wash. So that's kind of hand washing. Or I have some shirts that I'll put through the washer, but I don't dry. Like I'll take them out and let them air dry or something.
Sure. How about this is a list of life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. Navigating public transportation systems.
Well, that's again highly debatable. I have taken very little public transportation in my life. I've always been fortunate enough, even in Seattle, to have a car. But my firstborn, who is off to college in Chicago, they're obviously under the age of 40. And when I just visited Neo, I was so impressed that they jumped off the public bus. They take the L train around Chicago. They got the app to track everything. Their college pass gets them on and off. Like Neo is very good at public transportation and under the age of 40, whereas I would struggle greatly.
Yeah, I think this is more geographical than anything. Like if you're in a big city and you're a younger person, you're going to know how to use public transportation. My nephew, who is not quite 16, he knows the public transportation system like the back of his hand, whether it be bus or train, dude. He's all over it because it's the only way he can get around at this point in time, you know?
Yeah, I think it's very unfair to say that's a skill people under the age of 40 don't have. It's a skill that if you need it, you have.
I think they probably say that because it's way more common. Like when I was a kid or even a young person, taxis, I didn't take them very often. But Ubers, like people take Ubers all the time. It's doesn't have the stigma of like, hey, we can call a taxi, I guess, you know?
Yeah. It's funny how getting in cars with strangers has become a very common thing. I was always told not to do that. Now there's apps.
And it is safeguarded. So, life skills people under the age of 40 no longer possess. Looking up information in books.
Yeah. With what? The Dewey Decimal System?
No, well, that's how you find a book, Steve. Do you remember? I mean, I did look up things in encyclopedias when I needed to, but that was an easier thing to look up information in.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, a sign of the times. Like, what situation are you in where you have to look up information right now and a book is the only way you can do it? You have no access to the internet, your phone, or anything else. Like, that's weird.
Well, maybe you're Amish, dude.
I mean, listen, I get my dirt bike manual out every now and again, and I'll flip through that thing and find the answer on torque settings or whatever. But I can also just Google that. So, but that'd be a weird setting where you only have the option to find it in a book, and you've got to figure it out.
Did you have an encyclopedia, a whole set at your house when you were a kid?
No, I did not. We had school libraries for that. And I wondered what libraries are even for nowadays, but I've been put in my place. Apparently some of you people still go to libraries, so that's great.
Lots of people did. Okay, this is an important one. It's a life skill that people under the age of 40 no longer possess. Trying various knots. Do you know how to tie knots or like different types of knots?
Well, there's some soft restraint knots that I maybe have learned over the course of my life how to tie.
That counts, dude. That counts.
You go. I mean, you got to get her out of it eventually. You don't want it to be too tight of a knot. So
yeah, you don't want to leave marks on her wrist for any length of time.
Exactly. Otherwise, no, like fisherman's knots or whatever, those things. Like, no, even tying a tie, I don't even know how to do that.
Well, you should know how to tie a tie, but because your dad wore a tie every day, dude, like you should know how to tie a tie by now.
Yeah, he wore a tie every day. I have chosen an industry where you do not wear ties unless you go to court, and that doesn't happen very often. So I rarely ever need to tie a tie. I do have a cheater method where I can tie it. It looks like a thing, but you're supposed to be able to pull the tie and it all unfolds, right?
No. I mean, you need to take it out. You can't pull a tie. It's a slip knot over your neck, dude.
Well, to tighten it, but normally once you undo it and it all comes apart. Like the thing it's a knot. I got to like get in there and undo it like it's an actual tennis shoe knot or something, you know?
Yeah, that's not real.
It looks real, but no, it doesn't come apart very easily. So.
Listen, I'm a guy who does not know a ton of special knots, but anytime I'm around a person who knows a special knot, it gets me off, dude. I love it. I think they're the coolest person around when I see them tie a special knot.
The only knot that gets me off is a balloon knot.
Yeah.
Google that reference, kids.
So learn to tie various knots. It does make things easier if you're loading up, your truck or, maybe you're tying a fishing lure, whatever you're doing. There's great knots when you're camping, stuff like that. And you should learn.
I mean, if you're kidnapping someone, you don't want to be stuck there in the van trying to figure out some knot. You should really work that stuff out in advance.
Completely. Yeah, that's why you're stuck? Because you don't know how to do the knot?
Yes.
Come on. And that brings an end to my list.
Oh, perfect. Good timing, because that's the end of our hour together, everybody.
Feel like we made good use of it. We know what we should probably still know how to do, and some of these things we can write off already. We're not hand washing our clothes, please.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff reminds me of people nowadays don't know how to fill an oil lamp up. Like, yeah, because no one's lighting their house with an oil lamp, so that's why that skill has gone by the wayside. Some of these things, some basic mechanics or using tools, yeah, of course you should still know, but not all of them.
We got to keep some of these things in our history, though. We need a curator of, different things.
Sure. Well, you work on that in all your free time. Keep the art of all of it going. So.
All right. I'll do my best. We're coming to you live on a ham radio. It's the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
Get out your encyclopedia and look us up. Thevocalminority.net. It's our website. And social medias, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok. Those are the big ones, but we're on all the little ones too.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time in what could be a different world.
Yes, indeed. Next one, we'll be back to talking news and politics. And the reason we're delaying it is because we have no idea what the hell is going on this week. So we need the dust to settle a little bit before we jump in here. So stay tuned for that.
Hi, everyone. It's Bernie Sanders. I'd like to take a minute and congratulate the Los Angeles Dodgers on the World Series win. And thank you to the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve for giving me this platform to perform a congratulatory song. Here goes. When you're sliding into first and your pants begin to burst. Diarrhea. Diarrhea. When you're sliding into second and you need a disinfectant. Diarrhea. Diarrhea. When you're sliding into third and you drop a big turd. Diarrhea. When you're sliding into home and your pants begin to foam. Diarrhea. Diarrhea. Wow, folks, as we know, there is nothing more American than baseball, along with all the snacks at the stadium, which will eventually lead to diarrhea. If you're a true baseball-loving patriot, tune in every week to the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, the Pepto-Bismol podcast. Feel the burn.
By the way, Under the Age of 40, no one seems to know that song. I played it for my kid the other day, and he was like, "You guys are immature sometimes." The hell?
You know what we say. If you don't think that is funny, dude, come on. You don't love yourself.
Keep laughing. Keep laughing. Real funny, huh? If any one of you that doesn't respect me, you'd have a big dump in your pants.
Yeah, right?
Boom.